This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. We begin in Coquitlam, where officials say multiple people had to be rescued after a mudslide left them stranded in their homes early Thursday morning.
Yeah, there was one house that was more impacted by the slide itself, where people were not able to leave their house without going through the debris. So they were extricated from their home by search and rescue successfully.
Officials say 5 homes were impacted, with search and rescue crews having to airlift people out of the area. It happened in the 1900 block of Pipeline Road near the Coquitlam water treatment plant. The mudslide occurred after heavy rainfall. Crews say at least 8 people were rescued. No one is believed to be injured. The slide also knocked out power for thousands of customers. The sea to sky region is under a flood watch because of that heavy rain. The prolonged atmospheric river has brought back-to-back days of downpour, and now a storm is headed that way. Alana Kelly has more on why experts are surprised by this system.
Wet West Coast weather is what we've been experiencing for days in the sea to sky region. Rain has been hammering BC's south coast for 5 straight days, and there's more rain coming.
The biggest pulse of them all for the south coast is expected for Thursday night into Friday.
This area is under a flood watch.
What's most unusual is just how long the atmospheric river is lingering. It's all one system.
The sea to sky region, specifically Squamish, could get upwards of 150 millimeters of rain in just 48 hours.
What is concerning is just the directionality of flow of this atmospheric river. We're actually going right up through Howe Sound, up the sea to sky, and then even potentially spilling over into the Whistler-Pemberton region.
The Squamish River could reach its highest flow on Saturday.
Not necessarily extreme, but there would be spilling over the banks.
Squamish Search and Rescue is asking people to be flexible with plans.
When you come up to a trail and there's a river that's flowing through, maybe it's only a few inches deep and you can cross it, but be aware that when you come back, it may be a lot bigger.
They often respond to one particular call for help during these rain events.
People becoming stranded. So they've gone to their hike, they've parked their vehicle, they went up, they did their hike, they saw what they wanted to see, they came back down, and on their way out, they came to a washed out road.
And be mindful of driving through water.
It only takes 6 inches of water to float a vehicle. And when you're talking about vehicles, the bigger the tires, the more flotation they provide.
There could also be rapid snowmelt over the next few days.
It's 100 to 200 millimeters of snow water equivalent at certain elevations. And it essentially just doubles and amplifies the water input into the rivers that are already running high for this time of year.
Avalanche Canada says the backcountry has already been hammered with rain.
That initially created a lot of unstable snow, and we've had a widespread avalanche cycle. A lot of the avalanches that could come down have come down now.
There is a risk of landslides and debris flows from all this rain. And for people traveling during spring break, a Friday could be a challenging day on the roads. So people are reminded to check conditions and plan ahead. Alana Kelly, CBC News, Squamish.
Unseasonably warm weather is setting record temperatures across BC. Soyuz, Prince George, Quesnel, Salmon Arm, Summerland, and Williams Lake all recorded new daily highs this week. We spoke to folks in Kamloops to get their reaction to the sudden warmth.
Are you enjoying the warmth?
I like the warmth. I'm concerned about the lack of moisture. Wouldn't mind some nice warm rain, just to get our water table back to where it should be.
We went for 2 walks yesterday because it was so beautiful outside. I absolutely loved it.
We start breaking records that have been held since the turn of the century. I think it is around here, 1910s. Yeah, it's room for concern for sure.
It makes me feel free. I like this weather. Once it starts getting to like 30-something, I think it's not for me.
I was born and raised in Vancouver. I didn't experience a Canadian winter till I was about 22 or 23. I've been living with them since. It's nice to be outside.
We'll be out on the bikes more and more now, right? Spring's here, so we're enjoying ourselves.
10 degrees, that's when we have to wear shorts. These guys here, they were chicken. It was 9 this morning. Compared to what they're getting down at the coast, this is wonderful. That's why we live here. If you can still grow vegetables, we've got bananas growing up where we live.
Bananas growing up in
Sun Rivers.
This weather is just so beautiful. You know, I know people are worried about global warming, but for us cyclists, we're not worrying about it when we're out riding like this.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Darius Madavi is here to talk to us about that warm weather or those rising temperatures. Darius?
Well, there's a lot to talk about, Janelle. A lot of different weather stories in different parts of the province. First of all, yes, very warm temperatures for this time of year in the southern interior, both the highs and the lows. Those stick around into tomorrow, but start to come down for the weekend. The reason behind this abnormally warm weather is this ridge of high pressure, this very strong ridge that's sitting over the southwestern U.S. and extending up into southern BC. Down in the U.S., though, much more intense temperatures. California yesterday and today recording just yesterday, different part of the U.S. today, recording 42.2 degrees Celsius in the middle of March. Well outside of what's normal, and that abnormal weather extending up into BC, just less intensely, less dangerously, less scorchingly. Now, that's not the only extreme weather we have in BC. We also have, well, that's not so extreme, abnormal weather we have. We also have an abnormally strong and prolonged atmospheric river feeding into the coast. We heard earlier today about the mudslide in Coquitlam earlier in the show and the search and rescues efforts there. And the people being rescued. We also have another urgent situation on the lower mainland where we've had an evacuation alert issued in Chilliwack along the Chilliwack River. River levels here have been elevated for about a day or two now, but they just had another jump. So there has been an evacuation alert issued for Chilliwack Lake Road at Wilson Road, as well as another one further east along Chilliwack River at Chilliwack Lake Road and Sheldon Road. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that because we have so many rainfall warnings in place across the region, including both orange and yellow. More later in the show.
A very dynamic situation. Thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
Snow in the interior typically keeps ticks in hiding this time of year, but with that weather warming up, there's already been a serious case. A 6-year-old Merritt boy was bitten last week by a wood tick. Within 5 days, Milo Stevens was unable to walk or move his limbs. The CBC's Shelley Joyce has his story.
A wood tick picked up on a grassy bluff in Merritt caused this 6-year-old to lose mobility in his legs.
He couldn't walk, really. His legs were really wobbly.
Jamie Stevens says his son Milo is recuperating at home now after tick paralysis took the 6-year-old down for a day or two. At first, the doctors at the hospital missed it. Milo was sent home without a diagnosis. But then,
lo and behold, I put my hands through his hair and I felt a little bump and looked, and it was a pretty engorged tick.
They went back to the hospital and had it medically removed. Within a few hours, Milo was moving around and almost back to normal. Rob Higgins is a professor and entomologist at Thompson Rivers University. He says the culprit is the Rocky Mountain wood tick.
In North America, we're in the hot spot for tick paralysis. So at the local emergency room, they see about a dozen cases a year. And nobody keeps count of how many dogs or cats. It is actually quite common here.
If left undiscovered, the paralysis caused by a potent neurotoxin can cause respiratory failure and even death.
It causes an ascending paralysis of motor neurons. What's really quite remarkable about tick paralysis, and that it's that ascending paralysis that will eventually reach the respiratory muscles. If you remove the tick, the symptoms normally completely resolve within an hour.
Higgins says March snowfall will likely keep the ticks in hiding, but later in the spring is usually when cases peak, especially in south-facing grasslands.
The ticks will pick up on the shadows, on the vibrations, on the carbon dioxide, and they'll be waiting. Those back legs are just ready to snag onto anything that walks by.
Double check even after a doctor looks, because it was missed the first hospital visit. So don't just assume that everything's
good.
Shelley Joyce, CBC News, Kamloops.
Fuel prices are soaring across Metro Vancouver amid the ongoing turmoil in the Middle East. The cost of gas in the Lower Mainland is among the highest in the country. And as John Hernandez reports, economists warn the price of other goods could also rise.
It's pain at the pump for just about everyone.
I'm not thrilled, let's put it that way.
Mike Kohutch runs a commercial refrigeration company, and these hefty fuel prices are taking a big bite out of the bottom line.
The cost of gasoline has put my fleet cost for fuel up probably by a couple of $1,000s.
$2.14 per liter for regular gas and more than $2.40 for diesel. Analysts at Gas Buddy say while this isn't the most expensive gas has been in Metro Vancouver, the price is rising at a record-breaking rate.
It's pretty awful. I mean, it's hard for people who have to spend so much money on fuel.
Before my fuel tank full $80, now $115. It's really hard nowadays. I don't know what we're going to do.
The soaring costs are linked to the war in the Middle East that's left a critical oil tanker corridor, the Strait of Hormuz, all but closed. Members of BC's trucking industry say it's yet another blow.
You are barely surviving due to the tariffs, and by this fuel price increase, you're not making anything, not at all.
How does the cost of gas affect the transportation margins?
This economist expects a trickle-down effect on the price of fresh goods like groceries and the cost to travel if the crisis continues.
For cost to households, you just prepare for that budget line for your cost of food and air travel, restaurant going up a little more and staying there a bit longer before coming down, even if the crisis is short-lived.
A global economy that's heavily influenced by the price of fuel, which keeps ticking up. John Hernandez, CBC News, Surrey.
The BC government is meeting with First Nations groups over the changes it plans to make to the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, or DRIPA. As Katie DeRosa reports, the province is facing continued pressure from Indigenous leaders to leave the law alone and from Conservative politicians to scrap it entirely.
The NDP government is in the midst of amending its landmark reconciliation law, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, or DRIPA. It's in response to two recent court cases the government lost. One on Aboriginal title in Richmond that raises questions about private property rights. The other from the BC Court of Appeal about Indigenous consultation on mining. Premier David Eby is walking a fine line. Some Indigenous leaders say any changes to DRIPA will water down the government's commitment to reconciliation.
We're not in favor of amendments with the Declaration Act, full stop.
Others want DRIPA scrapped entirely.
DRIPA needs to be repealed because of what it's doing, frankly, to our economy, to our prosperity, to our democracy.
DRIPA was passed unanimously in 2019. David Eby has said the proposed amendments are meant to provide clarity when billions of dollars in resource projects, from mining to LNG, depend on First Nations consent.
To address the province's concerns about the court decision, while keeping intact what the chiefs are hopeful to see.
The government has been consulting with First Nations groups since January. But several say it's a rushed process and they're required to sign a confidentiality agreement.
I don't know if I would call it consultation, because what we're seeing is an aggressive pathway forward.
The Premier and Attorney General have said some of the changes will include limiting the role of the courts in interpreting DRIPA. Some legal experts are worried.
There's this kind of suggestion that, which I strongly disagree with, that courts are somehow interfering with the journey of reconciliation, which needs to take place between governments outside of court.
The issue has dominated the BC Conservative leadership campaign. All 7 candidates are calling for DRIPA to be repealed.
The uncertainty it's creating on the land base, the delays, the impossibility of getting anything built.
The government is set to introduce the DRIPA amendments this spring. But with the Cowichan decision expected to reach the Supreme Court of Canada, many expect the courts will have the final say. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
Why Vancouver City Council's rejection of 2 big developments is about policy, but also politics. That story after the break. It's not often that Vancouver City Council sends high-profile redevelopment back to the drawing board at the final stage of approval. But it happened twice last week for projects on the east and west sides of the city. Justin McElroy explains where they were and what it says about the upcoming election.
Vancouver rezonings. Plans are made for a new building, concerns are raised from local residents, but eventually council overwhelmingly votes for the development, except when it doesn't.
You know, we heard a lot of concerns from the speakers and the community. I think the concerns are real.
There's been some concerns raised about its connectivity to the existing community.
It seems like we're all kind of struggling with this one.
That was some of the feedback from councillors last week about concerns on a series of proposed towers in Vancouver's East Strathcona neighborhood, where there is no major transit route. So, in a fairly rare move, the ABC Vancouver majority did not approve the rezoning and were joined by the majority of the opposition. And 2 days later, they did the same for a hotel near Stanley Park. In both cases, council didn't fully eliminate the project, but referred it back to staff to try and come up with a new plan with the developer. Both times it was ABC councillor Mike Klassen who put forward the amendment, who said the referrals were a chance to keep decent ideas alive.
you had two projects that you could tell the majority council were, through their questions and their comments, were probably getting ready to vote against. And so this was an opportunity for us to take another look at those projects.
But is that all that's happening? A UBC political scientist isn't so sure.
A vote here to refer back as an easy way to try to paper over some of those divides and also speak to multiple voting groups at the same time in the run-up to that election.
It was a charge repeated by Councillor Lucy Maloney, the only councillor who voted against the West End hotel delay and abstention on the Strathcona Towers.
All the referral does is change it to rental housing and kick the can down the road so that the decision doesn't have to be made before the election. I think that we need to take seriously the obligation we have to demonstrate what our parties stand for and what we as councillors stand for, even in an election year.
Naturally, Klassen doesn't see it in quite the same way.
We have to sometimes kind of take a step back and go, yeah, it's great to build more housing, but at what cost? And so this is an opportunity for us to look at making sure that we do this more thoughtfully.
Whether you agree with Klassen or not, there are a few takeaways from these votes. ABC is trying to show that they are responsive to community pushback. One City is trying to show that they are the most pro-new housing party out there. And Cope, Green, and Vote Vancouver want to show that they're for responsible development, which makes for complicated politics and a complicated choice for voters this election. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
We're less than 90 days away from the start of the FIFA Men's World Cup. On Thursday, the province and Via Sport announced a partnership with the Vancouver Whitecaps to bring mini soccer pitches to communities throughout BC.
If you play team sport, it's such a great tool for your development as a young person. You have to respect your teammates. You have to work together with them. You have to live through success and bad moments.
As many as 20 communities will be chosen to receive a state-of-the-art mini pitch. The application process will open this spring and be managed by the Whitecaps. FIFA also unveiled its list of musical acts that will take the Peony Amphitheatre stage during Fan Festival. You can sign up for pre-sale starting March 31st, which gives you first dibs on 2 big concerts. That includes Motley Crue with guests Finger 11 and Toque on July 12th, then Canada's own EDM DJ star Deadmau5 with Cascade on July 17th. Tickets will open to the public in April. A wet night here in downtown Vancouver. Darius has a look at your weather forecasts coming up.
I think it's important to give a human face to the stories that we hear every day, the people that they affect. And I think talking to those people is what really gives us the true sense of the impact of the stories that we're hearing.
Iran has unleashed a series of attacks on energy facilities across the Persian Gulf in what it's calling a new phase in the war with the U.S. and Israel. It says the barrage is retaliation for an Israeli strike on one of its gas fields. It sent oil prices soaring above $1.19 U.S. a barrel. The CBC's Katie Simpson reporting from Qatar.
Iran is ratcheting up its attacks, targeting energy infrastructure sites all over the Gulf region, taking aim at Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. It is Qatar that has suffered the most extensive damage so far. Missiles were intercepted, but the debris still struck a key LNG production facility, causing huge fires and massive damage. The CEO of Qatar Energy says about $20 billion worth of production has been wiped out, and that contracts with European and Asian countries, they are going to have to be canceled. Qatar's prime minister is demanding an end to the war, calling these Iranian strikes a very dangerous escalation. While the Saudi foreign minister, he delivered a blunt warning to the Iranian regime.
We have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary. If the time comes, the leadership of the kingdom will take the necessary decision.
Iran has said it was responding to an Israeli strike on the South Pars gas field. It is a really important energy source for domestic power in Iran. And immediately in the aftermath, it vowed to seek revenge. All of this is leading to new concern that this conflict could spiral into an even broader war. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Doha.
The cost of the war on the Middle East keeps rising, and as Paul Hunter shows us, the Trump administration is now asking Congress for $200 billion to help fund it.
From the very get-go, word from the U.S. leadership has been that victory in Iran is effectively at hand.
We fight to win, and we are winning.
Yet now the call for more money with which to get there. $200 billion more.
As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys.
On that, some Republicans quick to sign off.
Nobody asked what did it cost to win World War II. You just had to win. So whatever it costs to finish this is worth it.
But support is far from unanimous, certainly not from Democrats, even from some hardcore Republicans.
I will not vote for a war supplemental. No, I am a no. I am tired of the industrial war complex getting all of our hard-earned tax dollars.
We are substantially ahead of schedule.
The concern is that asking for so much more money signals the war is, in fact, far from over. On the big ask, says Trump,
we want to be sure, and it's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay tippy-top.
Adding to the worry this is just ramping up, those 5,000 Marines now headed to the region. And so, say some,
as we move more and more assets over to the region, there's a temptation to use them, and we don't really know why they're going. So I think this is a moment of significant flux. It's pretty chaotic, and I think they're doing a lot on the fly.
Trump denies a ground invasion looms, but that comes with a caveat.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Sitting with Japan's prime minister and asked why he hadn't sought the help of other countries before attacking Iran, Donald Trump said it was to catch Iran off guard, while drawing an unexpected parallel.
You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right?
The Supreme Court heard a landmark privacy law case on Thursday. It centered on Facebook's role in a data sharing scandal in the harvesting of personal information from users. Olivia Stefanovich has more on this major test of digital privacy regulations.
At the center of Facebook's appeal before Canada's High Court, the question: did the social media company obtain meaningful consent from users before collecting, using, and disclosing that personal information with third-party apps?
What Facebook needs to get consent for is the disclosure by what I'll call an installing user to an app. what the app does. That's not Facebook's business.
But the Privacy Commissioner of Canada says it is, and alleges the tech giant didn't do enough to protect its users' personal data.
This is about making sure that people can engage in social media in a way in which they have control.
The case stems from a major data breach in the 2010s, known as the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
And its alleged ties to Cambridge Analytica.
The ongoing drama around Facebook.
The British political consulting firm improperly harvested personal data from approximately 87 million Facebook users for political advertising without their consent.
This has broad implications, well, even beyond the technology space, AI and social media and other things like that. We really need a good handle on it.
This privacy lawyer says the outcome could reshape how any company obtains consent in Canada.
This has implications, for example, for the App Store. What responsibility does Apple have to supervise every one of the thousands, if not millions, of apps on its platform?
It could also prompt legislative changes that others say are long overdue.
It is crazy that a case that's more than a decade in the making, that's been addressed by so many other countries, still lingers in Canada with yet more legal appeals. We need certainty in Canadian privacy law. We need penalties in Canadian privacy law.
Privacy law experts say the federal government doesn't need to wait for a ruling from the top bench to make those legislative changes. After all, it could take at least several more months before a judgment is issued. The Supreme Court of Canada reserved its decision following a one-day hearing. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Two Canadian communities almost 4,000 miles apart are reeling after a teen in each location was arrested for allegedly plotting a pair of coordinated violent attacks. The CBC's Kayla Hounsell has the details.
Students in the small western Manitoba community of Rivers say they're surprised and grateful to learn police have thwarted a possible attack on their school.
They made quick work of it. Luckily I didn't get anywhere closer to the school or inside.
Also relief in Bridgewater on Nova Scotia's South Shore.
That's a very scary situation to think what could have happened. So thank goodness for the police.
Police say two teens have been arrested after allegedly planning to harm students at their respective schools at the same time. The arrests just weeks after one of Canada's worst school shootings.
Coming after Tumbler Ridge, it becomes that much more real. And so everyone's basically just questioning how we got to this point.
The 14-year-old boy from Rivers and 15-year-old girl from Bridgewater were online and had been talking on Instagram and Discord since February. The FBI picked up on it and informed Interpol, which tipped off Canadian authorities. The student in Manitoba was arrested first on a school bus Monday morning.
It was the safest way for us to take him in custody prior to him attending school.
The RCMP says the 14-year-old has been charged with uttering threats. He was unarmed, but the Mounties later seized two guns owned by his relative. In Nova Scotia, police arrested the 15-year-old Tuesday and located handwritten plans and imitation weapons. The teen has been charged with conspiracy to murder and uttering threats to cause death. Local police say they don't believe the attacks being discussed were imminent, but they also say it was clear the accused had put some thought and planning into the idea.
They've been talking about it for a period of time, and there's actually some documentation that we were able to find in our search yesterday that makes it seem that it was a thought-out plan.
He says the teens were discussing a couple of actual dates in the next school year.
It's pretty tough, especially in smaller communities, to find a bunch of people who feel the same way you do or think about the same things or having the same kind of thoughts if they're dark. But if you get online, it's pretty easy to find 1,000 other people.
He says in this case, everything worked as it should, with multiple agencies working together to prevent violence. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Bridgewater, Nova Scotia.
Questions still linger around the Queen of the North the night the BC Ferry ran aground and sank. As we mark the 20th anniversary of the fatal crash, we speak with one of the rescuers who remembers the aftermath like it was yesterday. That's next.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
It has been nearly 20 years since the sinking of BC Ferry's Queen of the North off the north coast. All but 2 passengers escaped the ship in the dark of the night. Gerald Foisey and Shirley Rosette were presumed dead. Their bodies were never found. Let's take a look back now at our story as dawn broke the morning of March 22nd, 2006.
These people were passengers of an overnight ferry that sank in British Columbia's Inside Passage. They were torn from their sleep and thrown into a living nightmare.
It was like 12:30. We heard a crashing noise, and the ship went to one side, and then it was a louder crash.
The Queen of the North, an aging 125-meter-long vessel, hit a rock near Gill Island. The impact, hard enough to jeopardize the ferry's stability and put about 100 people on board at risk.
When I looked down, everything was all over the floor, and then we heard the alarm go.
Yeah.
So we jumped out of bed and got out.
That time the boat was starting to list to the right side, and so we went to the left side and started getting into the lifeboats.
Despite the danger, all on board remained calm, working together to get to safety.
All of a sudden, all the lights went out on the boat, and somebody yelled out, says, somebody put a spotlight on it, and at that time, the nose of the boat was sticking straight up in the air, and then it just went straight down and disappeared.
A large oil slick, scraps of debris. The Queen of the North is now completely submerged. But before she went down, her mayday calls were heard by BC's Coast Guard and residents of nearby Hartley Bay.
We heard on the radio, just about every house here in the community has a VHF. And I was already in bed. And I told the wife, I'm going out. I said, I'm taking my boat out. So there's people out there that need help.
2 gill netters and 4 speedboats rushed to help, plucking passengers from lifeboats, taking them to the local community center.
They had wet clothes. We had clothes ready for them, food and hot coffee, of course, and just a sympathetic ear and a hug.
Early this morning, medevac helicopters airlifted those with minor injuries. The rest boarded a Coast Guard vessel destined for Prince Rupert. To help people cope with the ordeal, the provincial government has dispatched trauma teams.
This must be an incredibly traumatic event to go through. We've all gone through something, but imagine trying to go to sleep tonight for those folks. So we'll have trauma counseling, we have social support services up there.
Also en route, an 8-member team from the Transportation Safety Board. Already questions are circulating as to why the Queen of the North, a ship slated for retirement by the end of 2009, went down. So far, BC Ferries is already deflecting blame.
They wouldn't let us sail a ship if they didn't feel it was seaworthy. This isn't a question of whether it was seaworthy. This is a question of it was, for whatever reason, off course.
The cause of the sinking is not known, but already the RCMP say they'll team up with the Transportation Safety Board to find out exactly what went wrong. And BC's Premier has personally promised a full and thorough investigation into the accident. Melanie Nagy, CBC News, Vancouver.
In the years since, there have been few definitive answers from officials. A deckhand filling in as the ferry's 4th officer named Carl Lilgert was convicted of criminal negligence and served time for the death of the 2 passengers. But a lack of clarity around why Lilgert missed a critical navigational turn has left many without closure, including Marvin Robinson, a mariner who was nearby and jumped into action that night to help with the rescue. Marvin, when you hear that story again, what does it bring up for you?
Yeah, like I say, I'm a mariner and out on the water quite a bit out of Hartley Bay here, and yeah, we've been involved in a few accidents prior to the Queen of the North, and we've been involved in a few since 2006, and Oh, it really brings back. We could have the best technology, and but it's what's operating it behind is a human, and it always folds back to human error.
Now, people from the community you still live in, like you mentioned, Hartley Bay, were some of the first responders that night. Are the memories still vivid for you? Can you walk us through that night? What do you first remember?
I heard chatter on Channel 11, so I stopped the VHF on there, and I listened to the Queen of the North do their Métis that they had struck a rock.
And what did you see when you arrived there?
Well, when we got there, it was dark, so it was we seen the ferry lights on, cabin lights, running lights, and
were people screaming?
And no, it was actually, it seemed pretty calm. I was in a closed gill net fishing boat, so, and I had a loud engine in that boat. It was the band boat, and I didn't hear anybody screaming. Everybody seemed calm, like it. Even when we started taking people off the vessels, it seemed like they still thought they were going to be able to get back on in a little while and return to the ferry.
Because the vessel was taking on water, right? It was probably pretty scary for people.
Yeah, I imagine so. Like when I first got on scene, once we actually didn't get clearance to move people, but one of our elderly men in a speedboat noticed that there were some elderly people and kids cold, and right away he took action, and basically Danny Reese said, we're going to start loading people into boats and bringing them to Hartley Bay to get them warm. And when I first seen him, I pulled up beside him, and I thought Danny took his grandkids out with him to do a rescue. And then I realized those were kids off of the ferry. And I remember Danny saying that one of the kids their feet were really cold, didn't have socks on. So he took his boots off and gave the child his socks off of his feet to wear. So with a conviction, really briefly here, Marvin, you know, has there been any closure for you with a criminal conviction? And I know the captain was fired as well. 20 years later, do you have any closure? Well, it's really hard to say there's closure. There's still 2 people missing. No bodies found, nothing. So, and it's sitting out right basically, you know, like 10, 15 miles from Hartley Bay here. And it was one of the better halibut fishing grounds for our halibut guys. So a lot of guys won't go fishing there now because, one, there's possibly bodies down there, but also there's a ferry that they could get their gear snagged up on. Mm-hmm. And the part for closure is we still never really heard what happened, what was taking place. I would have rather to hear that, and I could have laid it to rest if I heard, you know, somebody fell asleep. But the fact of not hearing what the cause of the accident was, it's really hard to put closure to it. All right, Marvin, thank you. Marvin Robinson is a mariner and one of the many rescuers to respond to what BC Ferries has called the darkest day in the company's history.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Darius Madavi is back with another look at our weather. Darius?
I want to start by talking again about the atmospheric river, all that moisture streaming into BC. Some areas having seen already upwards of 350 millimeters of rain, with more on the way. Now, one thing I will note is that the path of that atmospheric river, the path of that moisture, has shifted further south. So that means that the areas that were getting very hard hit earlier in this week, generally, for the most part, not getting hit as hard now. And that means that as we look to the next few days and we see that atmospheric river start to move off of the coast, we can get a bit of a reprieve for most areas. With that said, some places still expected to be hard hit, including northeastern parts of Metro Vancouver, like Coquitlam and Pitt Meadows, as well as down in the Fraser Valley, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, these areas. Again, we have those evacuation alerts in place along the Chilliwack River for some areas. We're talking a couple dozen properties, so not widespread, but definitely river levels are climbing on the Chilliwack River. So please be extra cautious if you're near really any waterways on the lower mainland. Another 120 millimeters possible in the Fraser Valley, although that does include some of what fell earlier today. Now, the amount that we're expecting to see in Chilliwack and up in the northeastern parts of Metro Vancouver, actually very similar to what we're expecting on the North Shore. But because river levels are already so high in those areas, more impact expected, even though they're going to get a similar amount of rain still to come. The west coast of Vancouver Island, now the rain is focused on the more southern areas around Port Renfrew, so very different than earlier when it was focused more on the northwestern parts of Vancouver Island. We still have a number of flood watches in place for the entirety of the south coast, extending into the lower mainland. High stream flow advisories now extend into parts of the southern interior as well, and then of course Vancouver Island and up the coast. The heavy rain we've been seeing is expected to return on and off over the next several days. And if we take a look here, that's where we're going to see that moisture coming in. Again, moisture continues to feed in the interior, continues on and off for another day or two. But for the coast, a bit of a reprieve comes on Saturday before that rain really starts to return after some showers on Sunday, early next week. Monday might be dry, but then Tuesday I'd expect to see some rain once again. Temperatures well above normal in the southern interior again tomorrow, not so much in the central interior though. And then they start to return back towards normal as we get into the weekend. Avalanche danger remains high across parts of BC, so please be extra cautious if you're heading up into the mountains where they've seen quite a bit of rain. Fair amount of precipitation, once again, we just talked about that, in parts of the interior, but some areas also getting some sunshine, and we will join them on Saturday after some very heavy rain overnight tonight and into early tomorrow morning.
I hate to say it, I'm kind of getting used to the wet weather, but nice to see a little sunshine in there as well. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
Still ahead, a Canadian farmer travels to Jamaica to help some of his seasonal workers as they try to rebuild following widespread destruction in their home country. Stay with us.
Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox. Join CBC on Saturday, April 11th at the Vancouver Vaisakhi Festival, a Sikh celebration of the coming of a new year. While you're there, be sure to drop by the CBC tent to say hello and enter for a chance to win some fun prizes. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC's e-newsletter and keep connected with us.
It's been 5 months since Hurricane Melissa tore through Jamaica, but the storm's impact is still being felt even now by many farmers facing spring's planting season, having nothing to plant. And that's where a Nova Scotia farmer has stepped in. Gareth Hampshire has the story.
These are the yam heads Nova Scotia farmer Josh Alton's helping plant in Jamaica following devastation to crops across the country. Tens of thousands of vegetable fields were destroyed when the hurricane hit, including yam crops, which left many farmers with nothing to harvest last fall, meaning they couldn't make any money.
They had nothing, and oftentimes that's all they have, these yam farmers. And so now they have to start over, and they don't have any income for this year. So I heard about that, and the Rotary was looking for a way to have an impact. They like to have impact in the community, and this was the way.
He knows some of the Jamaican farmers because they're seasonal workers on his farm, Taproot, in Port Williams, which is a big reason he wanted to help. Kensley Richards has been traveling to work in Nova Scotia for about 18 years, and farmers in his area of Manchester in west central Jamaica have been hit especially hard.
Lost their house, lost their yams. They're living in their tool shed. Like, it's pretty desperate. They still don't have power.
Richards shared video of the damage to his region when we met him last fall, and the help means a lot to him.
You don't know what you do to we as a small farmer. That is the greatest gift ever he showed. Thanks for the program. Everybody happy.
Alton's trip with his daughter Lily was made possible with an $11,000 donation from Rotary clubs in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. That allowed them to buy about 900 kilos of yam heads in Jamaica, along with about $3,000 of fertilizer to bring to farmers who need the help.
You know, it's those small-scale farmers that they really, they're 65 years old and all they have is their yam field.
In all, they helped about 20 farmers, giving them a chance to start over from a disaster that will take years to recover from. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
Thanks for being with us on CBC Vancouver News. To keep up to date with all the latest news, you can always visit our website at cbc.ca/BC. You can also watch this newscast there, as well as on our CBC Gem app and on YouTube. I'll have your 11 o'clock news right after the National. Have a good night.